Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to call the May 12, 2025 regular meeting of the City of Duncanville Planning Commission to order. Can we please have the roll call?
S. Champagne. F. Browning. Y. Columbus.
Present.
E. Rodriguez. D.R. Wynn.
Present.
B. O'Brien.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to item number 2 on the agenda, receiving public comments on items that are not listed on the agenda. If you're not sure what the agenda is for tonight, there are handouts at the back of the room. There will be a 2-minute limit per individual. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment on items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none. Moving on to item number 3, which is a request for a zoning change from SF13 to BD Plan Development by Brian Nilsson, representing Life School of Dallas, for review and on Keystone Place, Block 1, Lots 1, more commonly known as 1600 South Cockrell Hill Road, and Neil A. Ayers, Abstract 11, Track 9, more commonly known as 1000 East Daniel Dale Road in the city of Duncanville, Dallas, Texas. Do we have a staff report on this item?
Good, you do. Good evening, Madam Chairperson, members of the Commission. My name is Brendan Kane. I'm a lead planner with Olson, serving on behalf of the city this evening as a staff member to the city of Duncanville. Just before we get into this application this evening, you will hear a presentation from myself this evening, giving an overview of the overall application that is in front of you for consideration this evening. We do have a representative from Walter P. Moore that will also provide some information to the Plan Commission as well, as they were contracted independently to provide some independent review for the application. We will open up the opportunity for conversation at that time between the Plan Commission staff members. If there are any clarifications you are seeking from our presentations, we will then allow the applicant the opportunity to make a presentation in front of the Plan Commission as well. And at the same time, at the conclusion of their presentation, they'll be allowed, or you'll be allowed, to ask questions or clarifying questions to them before we open up the public hearing, which at that time, any member of the public that is here this evening will be allowed to come up to the podium, have 2 minutes, and voice their opinion or their comments regarding this application that is in front of you. So without further ado, if there's no other questions by the Plan Commission, we'll get started here. As mentioned, we are here this evening to conduct a public hearing for application 2024-13, and it's a zoning change request from SF13 to a PD Plan Development, primarily focused on educational facility. Again, this is at the southeast corner of South Cockrell Hill Road and also Daniel Dale Road as well. The purpose of the request is to develop an educational facility for a public charter school that will include a middle school, high school, associated parking and infrastructure, along with athletic facilities, including a new stadium as well. According to section 3.03 of the current zoning ordinance, educational facilities are permitted within the SF13 single-family district with review and approval of a specific use permit. However, plan development was determined as a better option for path moving forward due to some independent reviews that were done as part of the planning process in concert moving up to the application this evening. We will get into that. So as I mentioned, that we're looking for the applicant is looking for a change in the zoning from SF13 to a PD. Your future land use map designation currently right now has the property identified as low density residential. That's usually around 3 to 5 units per acre. The current zoning is SF13, and again, the proposed zoning is for a PD, Planned Development District. The reasons for the request, a couple of, as we reviewed this application, the property is pretty substantial and large in nature. PDs within the city of Duncanville zoning ordinance allows for PDs to be for properties over 15 acres in nature. You know, the scale and nature of the application that's in front of you this evening, the stormwater management, the uniqueness of the topography of the property and the tree canopy that's out there required a little bit more flexibility than what was going to be permitted within the SUP as the applicants, and therefore that is why you have that in front of you this evening. A PD allows for the clear establishment of tailored development standards for heights, setbacks, lighting, parking, screening, and landscaping that are necessary to balance the operational needs with the community compatibility. And I'll get into that here. Also, from a legal perspective, schools do have legal protections as offered from public schools. There's been multiple case studies that identify the public or private charter schools need to follow the same public school protections that are identified with state legislative actions, and therefore, again, the reason for the PD was to provide that flexibility, but also be in agreement and working with the community and the city of Duncanville to align the community, the applicant's application to the site as well and the parameters that are out there this evening. On your screen is the proposed subject properties. It is currently actually 2 different properties out there right now as part of this application. The applicant would be required to replat this as one contiguous uniform property depending on the direction of the Plan Commission. But that is one of the requirements if afforded the opportunity to move forward, that they would actually replat this as one parcel. But as you can see, the property is all SF13. You do have properties that are to the west that are SF10. You have a couple of different PDs that are north and east of the property as well. East of the site is also the city of Duncanville, or excuse me, the city of DeSoto, and to the south, it also touches the city of Dallas as well. This is just an overview of the site plan that is being proposed this evening. We will let the applicant get into their proposal this evening in more detail, but just for the purposes of this presentation, we wanted to show kind of the overall development of the site. Again, you'll see here, the total project is around 355,000 square feet when it's all said and done for the high school and middle school. There is a phasing plan that is being proposed. I'll let the applicant discuss that in more detail along those lines, but within phase 1, there would also be some athletic facilities, parking, and access measures in ingress and egress for the property as well. And Walter P. Moore will talk here in a few minutes as it relates to additional requirements to the public roadways to handle some of the traffic concerns that have been identified as part of this planning process. As I mentioned, the project scope here, phase 1 is the high school, associated parking with an initial stadium capacity for around 3,000 people. Middle school and additional parking would be in the future as needed. One of the concerns of the reason why applying for the PD in lieu of the SUP was that it would, with the 2 different campuses coming in, or 2 different schools coming in at different time periods, wanted to make sure that the application included both of those at this time for an as-of-right use as part of the PD process. Overall, again, 355,000 square feet of new building on the property, a maximum height of 36 feet is being proposed for the site for the school as well. There is stadium lighting that is being proposed for the future football facility as well. And again, we'll let the applicant talk about those requirements specifically, but they are limiting to no spillover to the adjoining properties with their proposed location as well. There's been identified parking ratios that have been determined for the middle school and high school. We've confirmed with our consultant, Walter P. Moore, that there is ample parking provided as part of this application to support, near-term and long-term goals and objectives of the applicant in this project as well. Because, as I mentioned previously in the application, because of the extensive tree canopy that's out there and the natural character that is there, they are trying to retain as much of that as possible. If you look at the requirements for the landscape, and if this was just a straight application for a specific use permit, the landscaping requirements would be blown out of the water. And so one of the key reasons why the landscaping aspect and under the PD is to preserve as much of the tree preservation as possible. Trees that are going to be removed, there is a tree preservation ordinance in place that is going to be replacing those trees as part of this planning process as well, so that is being taken into consideration. But as much of the tree canopy as possible is going to be maintained as part of this development process. And again, the applicant can get into why they located the building, where it's located, and the other facilities as well, based upon the topography and the natural canopy that's out there. There are some requirements within the city zoning ordinances for screening and buffering to adjacent residential properties that is going to be included as part of this application process. There are some areas where there is heavy tree canopy, and therefore, you know, the inclusion of a fence was deemed not going to be not necessary because of the tree canopy as part of that process, but they can get it, but we can certainly talk about that. There is some additional fencing that's being required. We went through an extensive review of that as it relates to the security aspects of it. I'll let the project architect talk about the different TEA requirements that are out there, or guidance that they have for public schools, and safety requirements as well, but they are proposing some ornamental fencing that would be in the front of the property for security reasons. But again, because of the location of the building off of the public right-of-ways, it would probably be challenging to see that in nature, but wanted to bring that up as one of the requirements as well. And in Texas, we are not able to regulate building materials as part of site plan applications. When we reviewed this application, you know, the city's requirements require a lot of different undulation within the building facade areas. Again, in working with the applicants and security measures and safety and everything else, there was a request to minimize or reduce a lot of those undulations within the facade to minimize the safety concerns that were out there. And instead, the applicant has gone up to 80% mason areas as a compromise for that application as well. Notices. Within Texas state law, we are required to notify everyone within 200 feet of the property. Because this application has been in front of the Plan Commission and/or application previously was submitted along with the town hall meeting and a presentation made to the city council, I believe in good faith effort, there was identified by the city that we would notify everyone within 1,000 feet of the property. To date, as of 4 p.m. this afternoon, we have received 14 notices coming back that are in favor of the project. We have received 104 responses that are in opposition, and we've also received 2 that are neither in favor or in opposition. I believe they want to speak in front of the Plan Commission this evening, but that is as of 4 o'clock this afternoon. That was identified on the letter. We have received additional information, so just being very transparent with the Plan Commission, we have continued to receive public input past the 4 p.m. Notification this evening. There will be public information and public commentary this evening as well. So we do have additional input that we do need to tabulate and incorporate into our summary for the public comment as part of this application as well. But again, being very transparent with the Plan Commission as well. And just before we turn it over to Walter P. Moore, for this application, there are options to consider for this application. You can approve the application and the plan development as submitted. You can approve the application with conditions if through this process, my staff presentation, Walter P. Moore's presentation, the applicant, or the public comment that may be received here this evening, if the Plan Commission deems that there's additional conditions that you'd like to apply to the project and the PD, you may so do that. You may also, if you so choose, deny the application based upon is inconsistency, for example, the spirit and intent of the comprehensive plan or other matters, but please state the findings of fact. Or you may table this application this evening or seek additional information from staff, from consultants, or for the public before rendering a recommendation to the city council as part of your responsibility as part of this application. With that, before I turn it over to Walter P. Moore, are there any specific questions to me, or I can come up and answer those questions after Walter P. Moore's presentation?
Let's Commissioners, let's wait for questions to after we get more information from Walter P. Moore.
Yep, and I'll bring up Seth and Jim. They are both members of Walter P. Moore. They were engaged by the city to conduct a review from a civil infrastructure standpoint. So the grading plans, the traffic plans, they were, and that report is in your packet, and they can go over that information. They were requested and engaged by the city to provide review of the submitted application from a civil and infrastructure and traffic standpoint. So with that, I'll turn it over to Seth and to Jim.
All right. Good evening. My name is Seth Franks. I am a senior engineer with Walter P. Moore in their traffic section. We conducted an independent review of the traffic impact analysis and school traffic management plan for the Life School. That analysis and management plan was performed by Lambeth Engineering, which we then reviewed for compliance and sound engineering. So before I get into it, I'd like to kind of discuss what do we look for in a traffic impact analysis, kind of what are the requirements. And I've kind of got a flow chart listed here. You can see, so there are certain requirements that need to be covered in a traffic impact analysis, whether that's the cities, states, counties. There's lots of different governing bodies that may have an impact on that. So the first step is identifying those requirements. You then look at, I've got it listed here as boundaries and horizons. That's really your existing conditions, your full build-out conditions, and then any future years after full build-out if that's required as part of the analysis. And then from there you move into analyzing existing conditions, understanding what's happening on the roadways and at these locations as it is today, which requires, as you can see this branch off to the side, that requires looking at the existing roadway geometry, looking at site distance issues, determining if there's any issues with the roadway in the current conditions, and then collecting traffic data, specifically vehicle counts. And then once those counts are collected, you do an analysis to look at, we primarily care about the level of service or the amount of delay that the traveling public is experiencing as they're going through their daily commute. So once you establish what's happening out in the field now and what current conditions look like, you move into the trip generation phase. So you look at the land use of what's being proposed, the size and square footage. There's standards out there by the Institute of Transportation Engineers on trip generation. So in this case, the land use would be for a school, and you're predicting how many vehicles per day are coming in and out of that site, and how many vehicles in the peak hour are coming in and out of that site, so you can get an accurate number for the change in traffic that's going to be happening once this development is complete. The next step is what we call trip distribution. So then you go from the site and you zoom out and you look at where a lot of the trips to this site are expected to be generated from. So in the case of a school, you're going to be looking for residential areas where these students and families will be traveling in from, and you distribute those trips on the roadway network so you can try and get an accurate picture of where these vehicles are coming from, how they're going to impact the intersection traffic, the driveway traffic, and how that can change the roadway conditions and the levels of service. So once all the projected conditions have been established, we look at the capacity analysis again. So we've already done the analysis for existing conditions. Now we look at it for full build-out conditions. So in this case, 2026 for the high school, 2028 projected for the middle school. So we add in all those proposed trips, we analyze it, we look at the levels of service or the delays experienced at the intersections and along the roadway segments to determine what the actual impact from this new development is on traffic. And then the next step is developing mitigation measures. So with levels of service, and I've got a slide about that in a minute, but levels of service, there's it's essentially a letter grade A through F, and for peak hour conditions, anything that's a level of service D or better is acceptable. So the mitigations come in to make sure that we're maintaining that level of service or exceeding that minimum level of service. And so once the mitigation measures are developed and the recommendations are developed, you do another analysis on the full build-out conditions with those mitigations implemented to determine how much those mitigations improve the traffic conditions after the development has been put in place, and then the final report is developed. So like I said earlier, the primary focus of a TIA is to evaluate the level of service. I've got a table here, which is from the Highway Capacity Manual, which is the governing manual on traffic studies. And this is the level of delay that's considered acceptable at both signalized intersections and unsignalized intersections. You can see here level of service D is at a signal less than 55 seconds. So that's years of studies to determine what drivers are willing to tolerate at those, and most normal signal cycles are about 120 seconds, so that 60-second delay is about half the cycle maximum. And when you move into unsignalized intersections, that threshold lowers to 35 seconds. That's because people are trying to find a gap. They're more likely to be more impatient and take risks as opposed to somewhere where they have control. So it's a lower threshold at unsignalized intersections. And so, like I said, in urban areas during the peak hour, the level of service D is the maximum acceptable delay. And so the mitigations come into play when proposed conditions create levels of service of E or F. And just some examples of what those mitigation measures could be. Traffic control devices, so that's going to be most commonly traffic signals, but could also be flashing beacons or pedestrian signals, depending on what the issues are identified in the impact analysis. Adding additional capacity, so that could be through lanes or turn lanes. Acceleration or deceleration lanes, those will be for your driveway specifically as opposed to the intersections, but that's the right turn lanes and then the lane after the driveway to allow people to get up to speed before merging back into traffic. You can also look at access management, so that could be restricting turning movements. Maybe there's currently a left turn lane at that location, but it could create a safety issue with the new development. Can you change that left turn condition to push people to a signal and make a U-turn? Just different variations of that. And then specifically for schools, we want to look at the site circulation, which will come up in the traffic management plan side of things, but making sure that there's sufficient room on the campus to hold all of the school-generated traffic so that none of it spills out onto public roadways. And then finally, adjusting pavement markings, so that may be, in that case, it's if you have the existing footprint, can you add a turn lane or make changes to the pavement markings that are out there to improve conditions. So we'll get into the actual TIA that Lambeth Engineering did. You can see here they analyzed 7 existing intersections. It's kind of hard to see on the map, but this is the list off to the side. We've got Daniel Dale at Cockrell Hill Road, Daniel Dale at Meadow Run Drive, Daniel Dale at Willow Run Drive, which is also where the proposed middle school driveway is tying in across from Willow Run Drive. And then Lambeth analyzed the signalized intersections at US 67 on both sides of the bridges for both Cockrell Hill and Daniel Dale Road. And then for the future analysis, they looked at the middle school driveway, like I mentioned, across from Willow Run Drive, and the proposed high school driveway there, kind of on the furthest south on the map on South Cockrell Hill Road. So after their existing conditions and proposed conditions analysis were determined, Lambeth proposed the following recommendations. or mitigations for the traffic impacts. So at the main signal there in the middle, Daniel at Cockrell Hill Road, they recommended adding exclusive right turn lanes for eastbound and westbound approaches. So that's the two approaches on Daniel Road. And the recommendations were the existing outside lane is a through and right turn, but the through capacity is sufficient that you could take away that through movement and make that an exclusive right turn. That way it doesn't require additional pavement to be added. It's also recommended a northbound right turn lane on South Cockrell Hill Road, extending the existing westbound left turn lane on Daniel Road, and then implementing improved signal timing, and that's basically to account for the increased traffic, changing the signal cycle, lengthening it, making some changes that are specified in their report. And then finally installing eastbound and westbound right turn signals. So that's just an additional signal head on the existing signal to allow those right turns to know, instead of finding a gap, it's telling them when they're allowed to go and when not to go. And so all of these recommendations are currently being addressed in the construction plans for the high school, which Jim will cover here in a minute. But all of the recommended mitigations based on their analysis get the level of service up to D or better. And for when you're looking at level of service, they look at it on each approach and then on the intersection as a whole. And so with these mitigations, most of the approaches are level of service C or B, with just one or two movements being level of service D. So the majority of the intersection is actually exceeding the minimum threshold. The next set of recommendations were South Cockrell Hill at US 67. And that was, there's an existing striped gore area for northbound traffic turning right, or I guess northeastbound traffic turning right. And the recommendation was to restripe that gore area to be a turn lane and then adjust the signal timing to account for any additional traffic. These recommendations were not addressed for a couple reasons. The main one being, in the existing condition, this signal is not meeting that level of service D as it is. So the existing condition is already below the optimal conditions. The other one is that is TxDOT owned equipment, TxDOT owned roadway, so it would require greater coordination and really TxDOT to implement. But ultimately, the existing level of service is below the threshold, and the school impact to that particular intersection is pretty minimal compared to the existing traffic. So the school is not really making a significant difference at that intersection. So next was the two driveways. The recommended mitigations at those were installation of a traffic signal. So with the projected traffic from the school, both driveways met 2 out of the 9 traffic signal warrants. And so they do meet signal warrants for implementation. The high school driveway is being addressed with the current construction plans. The middle school driveway will be addressed with those middle school plans when they come out. But in addition to the traffic signal, they also recommended installing northbound right turn lane on South Cockrell Hill and a southbound left turn lane on South Cockrell Hill. And again, that's being addressed with the traffic signal plans and the civil plans. And at Daniel Road and the middle school driveway, in addition to the signal, it's a eastbound right turn lane and a westbound left turn lane. And so, again, with the exception of the TxDOT owned intersection, all of these are being addressed with current or future plans once the build out comes for the middle school. And per the traffic impact analysis, implementing these mitigations will return traffic conditions to their current condition, which is the level of service D or better. And so next, I want to quickly touch on the traffic management plan. So this is an internal plan on how traffic can be routed through the school campus. And there are a couple primary goals. The first one is making sure people are safe as they're entering the property and as they travel around the property. And then there's, as this being a high school, there's a lot of students that are parking and then walking into the building. So making sure that there's safe pedestrian access for them as well. And then the second primary reason for this is ensuring that there is sufficient storage on campus so that vehicles are not backing up onto public roadways. I know that's a concern with a lot of schools, and so doing an early analysis like this and providing a plan can prevent that from happening. And so the next couple slides I'll show you. I did a screenshot on that last one, but this plan has it. So this is the high school traffic management plan. And as you can see in the top corner of that chart, it shows the minimum required queue space. So based on the analysis and the arrivals, there's a maximum expected queue of 218 vehicles. And the way they have their management plan set up, there's enough space for 227 vehicles. And that's at peak time. And so there's a buffer there of about 200 feet. So that is sufficient for the high school traffic. And then as you move into the middle school, you can see that this plan allows for or requires 160 vehicle storage, and the provided queue space is 165, which is about 120 extra feet of storage within the property. And so based on that, we felt that their traffic management plan was kind of in compliance with what we're expecting to see to prevent vehicles to back up onto public roadways. So next I will pass it off to Jim to cover the civil plan review we performed.
Good evening. My name is Jim Dulac, Senior Associate with Walter P. Moore in the Civil Infrastructure Group. A lot of background in drainage and paving, and glad to be here this evening to share our review and comments on the plans that were provided for us to comment on. We'll go over the four primary things that we covered tonight, with our review: the paving and grading, the parking requirements, the drainage design, and then the water and sewer utilities that were all incorporated into the civil plans. The paving and grading plans tied into a lot of the work that Seth just covered off campus along South Cockrell Hill and East Daniel Dale Road. The phased construction of this high school and middle school athletic facilities and supporting parking and driveways. It's mostly an undeveloped 100-acre parcel today. Over 60 feet of elevation fall from one side of that property to the lowest point of it. Mock Branch is a tributary of 10 Mile Creek that traverses the southwest corner of this property. And the majority of the improvements will be located within the central and eastern portion of this property, leaving much of this property really undeveloped or untouched. Site access requires two driveways. Both of those driveways have security gates. They've been highlighted here in the yellow gold color. They're providing, with the phase one, 412 parking spaces, with 12 of those being accessible. That's well in excess of the minimum requirements for this development. The perimeter sidewalk is being constructed along both South Cockrell Hill and East Daniel Dale Road to provide access to the perimeters for pedestrian safety. The improvements on South Cockrell Hill Road are shown in the teal color so they, per the TIA that Seth just got through talking about, they are constructing the traffic signal at the South Cockrell Hill and the high school driveway, and they're going to be constructing a dedicated right turn only lane for traffic going northbound on South Cockrell Hill and turning right into the development. They'll also be constructing a left turn lane for southbound Cockrell Hill to be turning left and shielding those cars and through traffic from that left turn movement as they make that turn movement into the property at the high school driveway. The new traffic signal is at the proposed driveway. As I said, the northbound dedicated right turn lane, decel lane, and the southbound left turn lane. And then the improvements on East Daniel Dale Road currently, they are constructing and extending the left turn lane at South Cockrell Hill and East Daniel Dale Road. The left turn lane for westbound East Daniel Dale is being extended to accommodate the traffic conditions that Seth just got through reviewing. And they're also going to be installing a left turn bay at the Willow Run intersection where the middle school driveway is going to be connected at that time. And so there will not be a construction of a signal at that time with phase one, but with phase two, there will be a signal. And so everything has been located and laid out so that that future signal, when that phase comes in, will be able to work with all of these improvements. On our drainage plans, the drainage plans are compliant with the Duncanville I-SWIM requirements. And as you can see, much of the area that's shown here that's not either colored in the blue color or that the purplish color are left undeveloped for the most part, except for the driveway along the south edge. You'll notice that all of the areas routed are on the blue are routed through a almost 6 acre-foot detention pond, and they are capturing almost all of the development from the athletic fields and the school parking lot, the main central parking lot, and the parking lot to the south, as well as the school itself. Much of that central area that you see shaded in blue is all being routed through that 5.9 acre-foot detention pond. And they're detaining that amount of water that's contributing down and going into Mock Creek, and they're detaining that to pre-developed conditions. And so they're making sure that this drainage and runoff from the higher density improvements within this site are not going to be adversely affecting. And they modeled several events, low frequency events like the 100-year event, high frequency events, the 1-year, 2-year, and I think 10-year events were all modeled for this detention pond to make sure that they weren't just modeling the higher flows consistent with Duncanville's requirements. They were caring about the lower flows as well. So there are a portion of flows on that purple area to the north. Those areas are not going to be going through this detention pond. However, their engineers demonstrated that the systems that are receiving those runoffs from this property in South Cockrell Hill have actually been more than adequately sized to take that area that's on the northern section of this development in its fully developed conditions and could more than adequately handle the flows that are coming into that system. And they're only minorly increasing the developed runoff as it transverses into that South Cockrell Hill system. And so they demonstrated that the systems can have more than enough capacity to handle the runoff from this site, and where they're draining into the creeks, they're more than adequately detaining the runoff that they're generating with this development. Hopefully that all makes a little bit of sense. On the water and sewer front, there are currently a 12-inch water line that comes south from East Daniel Dale Road, comes to about the midpoint of the property, and then goes west towards South Cockrell Hill. And there's a sanitary sewer line that's an 8-inch sanitary sewer line that parallels that 12-inch that provides service to this property as well. A portion of this 12-inch water line is being rerouted in order to avoid some of the conflicts with the proposed improvements. But all of those improvements have been reviewed and are in compliance with Duncanville's utility plans and specifications, and have been reviewed not only by our department, but we coordinated with the Public Works as well to make sure that it was laid out in the most efficient manner. The Phase 2 middle school will further relocate a portion of that 12-inch water line that still crosses through where that middle school will come, but it's not a part of this Phase 1 project. When Phase 2 comes online, there will be additional utilities adjusted as this site continues to improve. And that is the water, sewer, grading, parking.
Thank you. Before the commissioners ask questions of staff and Walter P. Moore, this is an opportunity for the commissioners to gather as much information as we can. So if, just in the interest of us hearing clearly what's being said, if the audience could refrain from side conversations, there's a buzz that happens because of the acoustics in the room. So if that would be helpful. And if there are cell phones, if you could put those on vibrate or silence, just to make sure the commissioners can hear and pay full attention to what's being said, so we have all the information we need when it's time to make a decision. And with that being said, commissioners, are there any questions?
I do have a couple of questions regarding parking. Well, one is regarding the parking, the queue coming in onto the property. I wasn't sure, will students be driving on the same queue as the parents Will they be stuck in that line as they're trying to park?
If we can go back, if you'll look, the plan shows, yeah, so that one, it's a single entrance. So I believe at the high school, they would potentially, but, I think that was accounted for because you have less parental drop-offs at a high school as you do middle school. In the middle school, they're double stacking all the way down the driveway as they enter. And so that's part of the management plan there. But I believe at the high school, they are all in one line as they're entering the property.
And one other question, the lanes that will be changed on Daniel Dale and Cockrell Hill, like the addition of the left turn lane and those things, will that all be accomplished without widening the road?
Yes, I believe so. I think the left turn lanes there's an existing median there that is going to be repurposed as a turn lane. And the right turn lanes, I know at the intersection, the signalized intersection is just a restriping of an existing lane.
There will be a wider section at the high school driveway and right-of-ways being dedicated to accommodate that within the development. So right turn lane and the decel turning into that high school widen that whole pavement section within the distance of that right turn lane. There will be no widenings along East Daniel Dale, with the middle school. When that intersection is improved with phase 2, I believe there is a right turn lane that will be constructed with that phase and the intersection. And similarly, right-of-way is being dedicated that will accommodate that on the school's property, or within the right-of-way, but on the school side of the property.
Thank you.
I have a question. You were talking about the excess runoff, where part of it drained into the 6-acre retention pond, I think you mentioned. But you also noted that let's see, you talked about no changes in the balance of parcel, that because you did not think that the excess runoff would be an issue. Just in the event there is more rain or a problem over there, do you have a backup plan, since that won't go into the retention pond?
There is some runoff that I think currently on the very east edge over by the proposed athletic fields that actually drains to the east and into the city of DeSoto. Underneath there's a catchment and an inlet. The developer is actually capturing and diverting that through the pond to make sure that they're treating everything that they're increasing the runoff on. In the event that we had something in excess of a 100-year event storm that could happen, that is beyond the design storm requirements that are listed, some of that runoff could potentially go to where it's going today and would likely have little to no impact. I don't know that for certain because we did not model anything in excess of a 100-year event. But there is capacity that is actually being freed up by the way that this site is being graded and capturing all of this runoff that is being impacted by the development and routing it through the pond that is currently going to the east. That also within the site, everything generally does tend to drain to the south. As far as the building and the facilities goes, I would have a hard time thinking that it would be adversely impacted by anything in excess of the 100-year event, but however that runoff would overland flow down into the creek. Without further analysis, I couldn't tell you the extent of those impacts. But for the purpose of this development, everything was compliant with Duncanville's drainage criteria. The ISWIM manual is actually a very good manual and looks at multiple storms. And Duncanville's criteria are fairly robust and comprehensive.
Thank you.
Commissioner O'Brien.
I have a question. Will there be an established school zone either with the high school or the junior high school?
So that was covered in the traffic impact analysis, and I believe the engineer stated that that was one of our comments on the initial review, was to comment on whether a school zone will be required. And the engineer stated that for the initial build out that it would not be required, but that it would need to be reviewed once the school is built out. So to answer your question, no, that's not in the plans at this time, but the TIA did mention it and recommended once the school is built out to review that again once everything's in place.
So, Commissioner O'Brien, did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Being that the walking and the pedestrians hasn't been considered, what's the likelihood that walking from students could decrease the level of service from a C to a D or a D to an E?
So the recommended or the design signals as they are designed include pedestrian signals, and that was considered in the analysis, was allowing that pedestrian timing in the signal for students to cross from one side of the road to the other. So that was covered in the traffic impact analysis to ensure that with the pedestrian timing, it was performing at a level of service D or higher.
With the pedestrian timing of middle school students crossing the street from neighborhoods, or with the pedestrian timing of what's existing?
No, with the projected timing for the new signals with the build-out conditions. Yes, ma'am.
A second question, being that the property adjacent is being developed by a developer, and I don't know if this is a question for you or for the civil plan, to what degree are the plans dependent on the developer adhering to the plans he currently has in place? Like if he makes significant changes, what's the impact? Has that been studied?
Which development are we referring to? I'm sorry.
You mentioned when Commissioner O'Brien was asking about the drainage plan, you mentioned that there was a developer who was already,
The homes to the east that are already constructed today are the
they're
homes.
existing.
Yes, they're existing.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff? I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
For trip distribution,
Yes.
is the radius for a public school versus a charter school, is that different? Is that the same? Has that been, how was that considered?
So in general, that process, you're kind of juggling multiple balls. So you want to look at where your primary residential areas are, but you also want to look at traffic flow as it is today. They also looked at, there's a life school in Waxahachie, I believe, that they used as kind of go-by is not the right word, but a previous model to look at where that distribution is coming from to help develop the distribution for this new facility. So it's trip distribution is not a perfect science. There's always going to be fluctuations, especially with a charter school. But by being able to pull from specific examples and looking at that radius along with kind of industry direction and the prevailing traffic conditions as they are today, you can come up with a pretty accurate representation of what's coming up. Mhm.
Not on. Commissioners, any more questions for staff? No? Seeing no more questions for staff, before we open it up for a public hearing, just want to give some rules and some context. Go ahead.
We have a presentation by the applicant before we go to the public hearing. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the applicant and their architect to walk you through their project a little bit.
Hi, my name is Brian Nelson. I am a principal at HKS Architects, and we are the architects for this school, working with Life School to develop the plans. And I just wanted to, a couple of things. I wanted to thank Duncanville staff, Victor and Walter P. Moore and the other staff, of being very responsive to us and very helpful and working with us to get to this point. And we really appreciate all the help and service that they have given to the school on behalf of the community. I just want to go through, I'll make this pretty brief, quick facts of it. It'll be 1,200 students for the high school, first phase, 800 for the middle school, which is in the TMP and the TIA, 790 parking spaces at full build-out. There will be 10,000 linear feet of car queuing, multiple traffic improvements that will benefit the community at non-school hours, and then there will be a 1,000-seat gym. And I did want to correct one thing from Olson is 1,500 bleacher seats in phase one. The ultimate would be 3,000, but the first is 1,500. Here's a copy of our plan. As you can see, there's the school is up against the wooded area. We tried to really limit the impact of the school onto the wooded area of the site. It's a very unique site with all the woods and the terrain. So really the only drive coming in or disturbance of that is the drive coming into the school. And then there's parking behind the school, the cafeteria, and drop off in the front, so that the students, as they come out of their cars every day, are going to see the wooded area and go into their classrooms. Over half the classrooms look into the woods. There is a turf field and track with bleachers and lighting, and then there's some practice fields to the north of that, with the middle school to be phase 2. Here's a blow up of the site plan. And then wanted to show sort of what led to the location of the building and other things. This is a grading plan, which I understand if some people may not understand this, but each one of those lines is 5 feet of fall. So you can see that most of the site to the northeast is relatively flat, and then it has steep grading, which to disturb that really disturbs the trees, it disturbs the nature, it's very costly, and is not good for drainage and runoff and natural conditions. So that is the reason of locating the field and the school where it is. It's a primary driver. This is a show of the car queue plan. One thing I want to mention is that this car queuing was derived off of field observations of Life School's Waxahachie site, and taking the number of cars at the full length divided by the number of students that were there over 2 or 3 days to give an average of how long their car queue is, and then extrapolate it to this. So this is not out of a book calculation of what the car queuing will be. It is what is actually happening at their other campus, and we anticipate it to be at this campus. And while we currently even have over the required amount of car queuing on that basis, what we are even not showing here, or was not calculated in our plans even, is the large parking lot would be able to also accommodate car queuing if needed. If there is a problem in there, we can route some of the car queuing through the parking lot and circulate it in. We've designed it for that, to accommodate extra if there happen to be some issues of any cars out on the street. Just so everyone knows, there's a lane in for the cars. There is a fire lane that will be open and dedicated at all times, and then there is an exit lane for the cars and buses. And to let you know, the plan has been approved by the city fire marshal of this plan and the routing of all of this, the car queuing included. This has been gone over quite a bit, but Just wanted to point out the things that are going to benefit the city of Duncanville in all hours, including off hours of the school, and the cumulated benefit of this to the city of Duncanville. So at the corner of Daniel and South Cockrell Hill, the school is building and providing through its funds a new right turn lane. So that'll increase the ability of the turning right onto Daniel. And then we are also adding 2 new turn signals at the intersections to allow dedicated right turns. And then we are also increasing the left turn lane to go south on Cockrell Hill from its current capacity to its limit that is available there. So we're increasing that lane also. So while the intersection turn signals and that is strictly benefiting the school during the school to keep traffic off the road and the turn lanes, this at this intersection, while helping with school traffic, will also help with normal traffic during all times and all hours. And then this is an important diagram that we wanted to show. One of the things we understand is about the lighting for the athletic field and the bleachers to play games. So we have worked with Musco, which they are a professional or provide almost all the stadium lighting in the state of Texas, to work with them to come up with a plan that would limit the amount of spillage of actual light from the fields. So you can see on this diagram, we're providing 6 poles. Most stadiums have 4 poles, but we're providing 6. And they are slightly taller, so they aim the light down even more than a normal stadium may shine. And the 6 poles also allow there to be less light on the sides. So the line that you see, the outer line, that is a 0.01 foot candle. So a full moon gives about a 0.01 foot candle. So to the properties, I guess this plan's turn, but the properties to the north, the nearest location of any actual light is 300 feet away from their backyards of actual increased lights from the stadium lighting. So their change at that outer level line there is no change in actual light on the ground for any of these places. Now, will they be able to look and see that there are lights on? Yes, they are very, the most modern lights with shields and everything on, and they are designed to point mostly down. And the school is spending quite a bit of money to make sure that this is accommodated and wants to be good neighbors with this lighting and location. And then we also, the lower lights are the parking lot lights and their foot candle at the property line. All of these meet the city of Duncanville codes, and you need to be confirmed. This is our plan. I'll go through this. A couple of things I wanted to point out here. This is the landscape buffer proposal that we have. Some of you came out to the site and saw this out there. So this is within the regulations of the city of Duncanville. Behind most of the houses to the north and east will be a 15-foot buffer that will be maintaining grass, and then we will have an 8-foot masonry wall, and then new trees planted on the other side of that wall. So this is above and beyond the actual requirements of the city of Duncanville. A vegetative screen is really all that is technically required, but the school, to be good neighbors and keep students out of the neighborhood yards and everything else, is putting up an 8-foot masonry fence, which is also allowable in this location with a 15-foot buffer between there. The other thing, one of the things about why we're coming for a PD, I just wanted to clarify. the TA made it actually a law last year. It became law, not a guideline, that all fences have to be either 6 feet with non-climbing elements like things poking up, or they have to be 8 feet tall. So any fence around a school has to be basically 8 feet tall. So that's why, like, our front yard fence needs the difference. One other thing a couple other things before we go on, I wanted to just point out that I forgot. So the school is also doing a 10-foot wide sidewalk on Daniel Dale Road as a request from the city council or from planning commissioners early on in our process. So we're doing a 10-foot wide to increase the bike lane on Daniel Dale. And then with our changes of the turn lanes and other things, we are going to, the school is paying for through Encore and their thing, 10 new streetlights for Daniel Dale and Cockrell Hill to go into the median of those. So those will be brand new LED streetlights that will be where our turn lanes are affecting the current lights. So that's all being provided by the school as part of our mitigation. A small thing I wanted to do here was just point out one of the things that we kind of did the PD was for the requirement of the city to have 3-foot deep offsets for the school, for the elevations. So if you can see, the school really felt that this contributed to a pretty unsafe condition of places where students or whatever could hide behind, and it was really hard to look around those to see the students or to see anybody there. It would take multiple cameras to watch in that. So that's when we say the safety of the elevations and the articulation is where that is coming from. And then there's also a height requirement to add 5-foot parapets up and down. One of the things is to limit the height of the building by not doing those. One thing I wanted to point out too, let me see if I believe it's in here, is on this page. One of the things about the school being accommodating to the neighborhood and being at the relatively same level, you can see there the measurement to the top of the roof of the peak of the house in the corner is at 35 feet. Our school top of parapets is around 36 feet, except for a very small area. So we feel that we're fitting into the same height as the neighborhood houses in that area. And that is really, here's some renderings of the building. It's going to, in my opinion, be a very beautiful building with a lot of natural earth tone bricks. This is an entry to the gym. The front entry where students can wait to be picked up and enter the school building. This is at the gym. This is a caffeinasium inside, so it will be able to be the cafeteria, but also have performances. And then this is just the main lobby view of there. And that with one other thing is we also, in the process, the city asked Life School to have the TIA and TMP reviewed by a third party that Life paid for. And they came back with an approval of the TMP and TIA also, as it is. So the TIA and TMP have been reviewed by 2 outside consultants, one Walter P. Moore, and then one that Life School hired on the request of the city of Duncanville to approve. So it's been approved by 2 professional outside opinionated reviewers. And that's all I have.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? I have a question. I believe on one of the slides it indicated that the number of students that were expected for the high school was 800 and 1,200.
1,200 for the high school and 800 for the middle school. And that's what our TMP and TIA are built around.
How long is that the expectation? So, communities change, number of students, is that the max that
would be the max. We did our thing at the max. They would They would love to have that many students, but that would be their max of how many classrooms and teachers and everything else and parking that they would accommodate. We design our storm shelter, everything to this max, and the TIA and TMP to that max. That's where it would be.
A second question is with the lights, you mentioned that with the lights being so high, they pointed downward. I
Yes.
believe in one of the slides, it said that there was no height restriction for the lights. Is there a minimum listed for the lights to make sure that they point downward? And I don't-
There's not necessarily a minimum, but if they're lower, especially on the stadium lights, then to get the field covered, they shine more outward. So to be higher, then they shine a lot more down. If we lowered them, the light spill would be more, but the poles could be reduced if, for that, but the light spill would be more on that. So we were really trying to limit the actual light spill around the stadium for any light.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Nope. Okay, seeing none, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on to the public hearing portion of tonight's meeting, if you do wish to speak, please make sure you filled out one of the forms. I believe there's still some left on the back table, and turn them in here at the desk. In the interest of time, I'm going to go through the forms based on the names that we have listed, and I'll call you out. Please come to the front. I'm going to ask, there are two things I need you to do. We need you to do. One, state your name and your address for the record to make sure that that's recorded, and to limit your speaking to 2 minutes. When you hit the 2 minutes mark, if you continue to speak, I will say very nicely the first time, thank you, we appreciate your comments, and then we'll proceed. I'll call the next person and we'll proceed from there. So with that being said, commissioners, do we have a motion to open the public hearing portion of this meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll for the vote to open. Commissioner Champagne, vote to open. If you're in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Browning,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Wynn. Commissioner Columbus is aye as well. All in favor? So now that the public hearing is opening, and this is just, this is not in any particular order, they're the order that's on my desk, or on the desk in front of me. The first name is Debbie Lawrence, and I'll just call out 5, so if you could please line up here at the side. First, Debbie Lawrence. Next would be Vanessa Bernal. George, and I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure if I'm reading this right, Christie, maybe? And Hugh Belton and Kendra Peoples. So Debbie Lawrence, if you're here, please approach the podium. Thank you. Please state your name and address.
And do my 2 minutes start now?
Yes.
Debbie Lawrence, 1238 Lady Lane, Duncanville, Texas.
Thank you.
Now go.
Yes.
I have been a resident of Duncanville for 26 years, and I own 2 homes in the city. I'm so proud of Duncanville. I tell everyone that Duncanville is the now city, the it city, because we are diverse with low crime, fast emergency response. We support our small businesses and care for the environment. We do love our trees. So I was very excited to see what they were doing in their planning. Our library is the heart of the city. We have places of worship for most religions. It is home to many nationally recognized athletes, Olympians, actors, musicians, and our own governor. Now we have an opportunity to bring in a new high school, and I can understand why we're approaching it so thoroughly and taking such steps. I'm so comfortable with everything that I've heard here today. I have a 15-year experience with life schools. I have grandchildren K through 12, and I can tell you, I think I'm going to come away a little bit from what I wrote. One thing is life schools are real high schools. I mean, they're really middle schools, they're really elementary schools with everything. Soccer, baseball, basketball, football, choir, theater. It's just awesome to be, and the staff are so easy to work with. You can talk to a teacher anytime, and you will get a response from them that day or the next day. Very strict about how things are run, feel very good about security with them. And I wanted to address, seems to be so much concern about traffic. So let me tell you, for 15 years, I kind of know that we're out in Waxahachie, Life School Red Oak, and then Waxahachie Middle School and Waxahachie High School. And this morning, I just happened to take note of it. You enter the campus, and the middle school's off here, and you'll drive straight ahead to the high school. So the middle school has a right lane. They peel off and go to the middle school. And then the high school keeps going. And there is a signal from 77 into the campus, and then there's a policeman to direct traffic at his peril sometimes, I think. So we entered the campus this morning at 7:27. The middle school starts at 7:25. High school starts at 7:40. So I'm entering when the tail end of middle school is happening and high school is starting to pick up. So
Thank you for your,
okay. Anyway, it was 7:27 and ended at I was back on the highway at 7:36. Just so you know how that works. Thank you.
Vanessa Bernal. Please state your name and your address for the record in the microphone, please.
It's Vanessa Bernal, and it's 6719 Cedar Shadow in Duncanville. I have one son. We've been in life school since he was in kindergarten at Life Mountain Creek. He is now a junior at Life Waxahachie High School. We've never been in any other school. I'm here just to speak on behalf of a parent that has a student in Waxahachie. I understand there's a lot of zoning things, but that's not on my agenda there. He is a special needs student. He is a student with autism, and I can only speak on all the benefits that we've experienced throughout his entire career with Life School. We went from Mountain Creek to middle school in Waxahachie, and we're now in high school Waxahachie. I live in Duncanville. I work in Capel, and we drive all the way to Waxahachie to ensure that he gets there. There was never another option for me, meaning that I never wanted to go outside of Life High School or middle or elementary. It was always Life that we stuck with. I believe that he's greatly benefited from being there with Life School, having the idea of preparing for life. It certainly benefits him more, especially with somebody with autism. He does get a proper education that way. It does prepare him for the quote real world when he goes out there. I realize a lot of public schools be set up that way. I do believe that with charter schools, since it is smaller, I think they mentioned 1,200 students is the max that on some of these. I believe that benefits a lot of students that way, especially for somebody who has special needs. I realize that with it being 2026, that this is a proposed opening for it, he probably wouldn't be able to go to that, but I'm still here to vouch for it, and I honestly believe that it would still be a good thing to open it for future students. I do have a niece and a nephew in Life Elementary.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, thanks. So
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
George Christie. Moving on to the next name, Hugh Belton.
Hello. My name is Hugh Belton. I live at 1530 Halsey Drive in Duncanville. I have been fortunate enough to make it through my work life and retire. And I live at Meadows of Daniel Farms. At no point did I ever have a desire to be adjacent to outdoor sports facility, let alone a sports stadium, which there is no way that that's going to be non-disruptive to my neighborhood. So with that being said, I oppose the life school.
Thank you. Kendra Peoples.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Kendra Peoples. I live at 1511 Marshall Drive in Duncanville. And I want to first say that I do oppose the Life School. I have a very unique perspective as my youngest son attended the Life School in Red Oak. So I want to make it clear that I know myself and my neighbors, we're not opposed of a great school. Life School is a great school. We're opposed to what it will do to our community. The first thing we think is gonna change our neighborhood characteristics. I mean, we live in a quiet residential nature. I also have a kid that's in high school at Duncanville High School, so I know what that residential area is like. And I absolutely refuse to drive my kid to that area just for the traffic alone. And I was kind of caught off guard by the gentleman stating that the intersection at Cockrell Hill and the highway is already failing and that adding this school would not impact that. So you add more to an already failing situation and you don't think it's going to be worse. I have personally seen cars fly up and down Daniel Dale as my son has stood on the corner, because my son now is at Duncanville High School, stood on the corner waiting for the bus. It's alarming to me that nobody thinks that the traffic is going to be an issue. But again, I'm opposed to it, not to the school, but to just what it will do to our neighborhood.
Angela Davis. Please approach the podium and give us your name and your address.
My name is Angela Davis, and I'm at 101 Cottonwood Trail in Red Oak. I'm a current parent of two at Life School Oak Cliff, and although we recently moved to Red Oak, we had been a part of the neighboring Cedar Hill community for over 20 years. But we equally spend as much time in the Duncanville area because my parents live there in this neighboring community. And so we spend just as much time there over these 20 years as we have in Cedar Hill. And I understand all the concerns because I frequent that intersection like every day because my family is there. And my kids, that's where they spend their after school time. My dad picks them up. So I know that it's a busy intersection. And I know that there are concerns about it changing that community, the community that they are also a part of. But I also know what Life School can bring to the community. I hear what the young lady just said about it being a busy intersection, and I know that Life School always brings great traffic management. My son has been at Life School since he was in kindergarten. He started at the Cedar Hill location. And they always bring their officers and great traffic management. I've always been so proud at how Cedar Hill handled their traffic management in that neighborhood at High Point. And if you haven't been, it's similar. So I would applaud you to go during that time and see how well the traffic is moving at that time. But I just want to say, and I know my time is running, that I implore you to invest into an institution that can pour into the community before something else goes there that's not as equal as contributing. And that's all I have to add.
Amy Davis. Amy Davis. Next name, William May.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William T. May. I live at 1515 MacArthur Drive in Duncanville. Excuse me. I am in that zone of 200 feet or 1,000 feet, just like my neighbors. And one of the things that I would like to say is that we are not against education. We are not against schools. We don't want our neighborhood disturbed. And we did not plan on having a school in our backyard. And that's the one thing that we're discussing, and that's the reason why you see a lot of folks showing up here. I also feel like I live in Duncanville. I've been here for 14 years. Me and my wife settled here. I'm retired military. I've traveled all around the world. And I'm here tonight just to express how basically disappointed we are with the way that this is being handled. We have people in here that are basically coming out, and we don't doubt that Life School is good. But Life School is not something that we want in our backyard. And if you're not living in this area, you're not in this neighborhood, I feel like you should not really have a say-so in changing our lives. That's the way I feel. And I also feel like, you know, because some people work for Life School, they're here representing Life School. And we're here representing our families. We're here representing ourselves. And all we want is to be heard. Thank you.
Yasmin Thomas. Arvis Miller. Oh, you want to? Are you Yasmin? We would need you to come to the microphone so they can record your name and your address. Otherwise, they can't. Thank you. Please state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Yasmin Thomas, and I live at 1518 Marshall Drive. I am opposed to the traffic, and I'm opposed to, we already can't get out of our neighborhood already. So if we get that impact of traffic, I don't understand the lighting situation they're talking about. It would be too close to each other. And coming off of 67, going to your house already, that's messed up. So if you put, where are all these traffic signs and where are all these traffic lights gonna go? So it would be hard getting out if people have to go to work. And a lot of people moved in the neighborhood are retired. So they're not looking forward to hearing a bunch of kids and activities and stuff. That's not why I moved there. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Arvis Miller.
This is my wife. She pulls my coat. So. Arvis Miller, 1510 Halsey Drive, Duncanville, Texas. I went to Life School myself when it was at Oak Cliff Assemblies of God as a 7th grader. So I have attended the school. But we do not want the school where they propose it to be. And I wish there was more people from Life School here that look like me, that would try to sell me to come in my neighborhood. I wish that was the case, being that 86% of Life School is economically challenged, and 57% are on lunch aid. And I appreciate you all for taking care of my people that look like me. I wish there was more here from the school that look like me. Come into my neighborhood, don't live in my neighborhood, and 85% of the people that's going to come is going to be bused in to the school. 15% going to be driven or drive in. And the remaining 10%, we hope and pray that they live in Duncanville. Duncanville has great schools. I have two girls that graduated from Duncanville High School in 22 and 24. And they both attend the University of Texas at Austin through Duncanville education. So if you don't believe in Duncanville High School and you have to lean on another school, then that's another issue. We have a great school. Nothing wrong with life, nothing wrong with them earning $11,000 per student for 2,000 students making $22 million a year. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, I'm a capitalist, nothing wrong with that. But we do not need that school and the lights and the noise pollution and the light pollution and the traffic that's already dangerous, both on Cockrell Hill and Daniel Dale, let alone on the freeway. They bring nothing to the table here, to the city, nothing financially. They come in, they go out. I bless them, find another place, but we did not build our home. All these homes where I live, Duncanville, DeSoto, and back up to a Thorn Tree are $500,000 homes and up. We did not build these homes to have a school, 2 soccer fields. Time up?
Thank
She
you.
didn't say it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corey Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Corey Johnson. I am a class of 1995 graduate of Duncanville High School. My address is 1502 Marshall Drive. My wife graduated from high school, Duncanville, 1996. 2 of my kids have graduated from Duncanville High School. My older sister graduated in '88. I've lived in Duncanville since 1982. And I've been a litigator since 2004. I represent companies like this all the time. And the best question you asked them, which they didn't answer, was the traffic impact study. That's the biggest issue here. They did not answer your question. What they said was, they'll figure it out after they build it. We are already there. Listen closely to what they said. I represent companies like this all the time. I'm really upset that they would come in my backyard and sell this nonsense for a school that will not work unless the traffic works. They are not prepared to have a successful school, much less a successful neighborhood. And that's what I'm telling you right now. I heard all of that. That's nonsense. If they want it is not expensive to do a traffic impact study. What they said was, well, we went and looked at another school and observed there. That's not an independent study. That's nonsense. That's not evidence of anything. And I'm telling you right now, as a litigator, I represent companies like this all the time. These gentlemen, they will not be here after this deal is done. They'll go on to their next school. They have their own deals. We will be here. Life could be sold to another company at any time. We live here. They don't. They have no investment, long-term or not, in this area. We do.
Thank you. Lorraine Horde Jack. Sorry.
My name is Lorraine Hood Jack, 1502 Halsey Drive, Duncanville. I'm a 13-year resident of Duncanville. And the question I've had since the implementation of this whole idea is, what does this do for Duncanville? East-west on Daniel Dale right now, you nearly have to come to a complete stop to get to 67. It's been complained about and not repaired for over a year. So we've heard nothing about any tax benefit or any highway improvements. We've heard about turn lanes, which we didn't ask for. We've heard about traffic signals, which we don't need, but we've heard nothing about how this is going to positively impact our community. And as a Duncanville High School being a client of mine, that is a good school. We are producing good nursing students every year for the last 10 years. So why are we doing something to diminish what we already have for something that benefits us in no way? Thank you.
Chandler McGann.
Chandler McGann, 1118 Bradley Drive. My fence is closer to Life School than I'm standing to you. All the intersections at 67, Cockrell Hill, and Danieldale, they currently rank as the top 10 most dangerous intersections in the city. Since so many Life School advocates are here tonight, they should actually ask to see the property in its current state. Go over there tonight. Go in the morning. You'll see numerous code enforcement violations for not cutting weeds, trees, illegal dumping, a swimming pool that's harboring mosquitoes all over the property. Life School has not chosen to take action. They've been my neighbor for at least almost 2 years. I can send photos of all this to planning and zoning. Candace Sweat with NBC Channel 5 has sent a helicopter over the property. She has her own footage of how the property looks. You can also go sit, let's switch gears, let's talk about traffic. You can go sit at Nichols Park across the street from the property and watch how fast the cars move on Cockrell Hill in the morning, because Cockrell Hill is carrying cars from Cedar Hill, DeSoto, Red Oak, and Ovilla because they don't get on 67. They actually use Cockrell Hill to get through. Our daughter's best friend had her car totaled at that intersection. This is before Life School even shows up. We did hear some misinformation from the gentleman over here. The homes to the east are not built, but they are approved, and they're in the city of DeSoto. The streets even have names. The lot sizes have already been determined, and none of that was accounted for on the slideshows. I'm not certain how they're going to add more lanes without widening the roads. How does this plan accommodate the federally funded and approved bike lanes that are not yet installed? So there's bike lanes that y'all didn't see on Danieldale that are already approved with federal money. That wasn't even mentioned.
Aye.
That's my time?
Thank you.
I was just getting warmed up.
This next card, I'm going to ask for help from Commissioner Browning. Maybe by the address, 939 Fair Court.
It looks like, it says Dr. Simmer.
I had a tremor, so sorry about the handwriting.
Thank you. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Dr. Charity Simmons, and I live on 939 Fairway Drive. I've been living there for 39 years. And I'm here also, like my neighbors. Traffic is horrible already. Early in the morning, you are trying to go for a walk. We don't want school. Life School people are trying to sell us. They are trying to make it work. We don't need it. They don't live here. We don't have to listen to the noise. Noise carry. I want peace when I sleep. I don't need stadium. Now we have ambulances. That's where I come in. Ambulances are coming. The only way from Ovilla all the way to Charlton is on Cockrell Hill. What are they going to do with medical emergencies? Our property values are going to go down. What is the city of Duncanville going to do to help us? We live here. We've been here. This is our home. We don't need people, because of their paycheck, to come and tell us what to do with the area. I'm sorry.
Shayla Beck Smith.
Good evening. I'm Shayla Beck Smith. I stay at 1019 Stanwyck Avenue. I'm here like the rest of the residents. I've been here since 2017, and even on today, the traffic was really horrible. Every day we have to take a risk. I live at Hollywood Park, so coming out of the area where the Waffle House is, just trying to get out every day, I know that I have anxiety, and I'm young, so I can only imagine what other people are going through just to get out every day. It's frustrating. We sit at the light at least 10 to 15 minutes every morning. And on today, for those of you all that do not live here, it was a horrific wreck there this morning. So just to know that, yes, and by the way, I'm a 19-year educator, so I love the fact that you want to build a school. That's awesome. But to build it in a community that doesn't need it, to build it in a community where those who have already paid their way and paid for their land, paid for their houses, and now they're being told, now you have to listen to noise. I've been a part of the band program for 12 years, so band never stops. I mean, it's a year-round program. And I was a major red sponsor, so we had to get ready for championships or programs or whatever, parades. There's going to be noise. There's going to be lights, and I get the lights pointing down, that's great and awesome. But even the lights, that still can bring an issue to those who are right up against the stadium itself. But the noise itself, I can only imagine if and that's why I'm kind of emotional. I've only worked for 19 years, but I can only imagine those that have worked 30 plus years to come home to peace and quiet. That's why my husband and we were young builders. We had our homes built just to make sure we was in a wonderful neighborhood. We want to have kids and raise them here. But if we know that our city is not working for us, why would we stay? Thank you.
Brian Clark. Brian Clark.
All right, Brian Clark, 310 Softwood, Duncanville. First of all, I'm an educator with Life School, and I lived in Duncanville for the last 25 years. And I wish there would have been a Life School where I could have sent my children to. Life School is not here to compete with our community's public schools, but rather to add to the rich educational landscape of Duncanville. Our mission is to partner with families to prepare students to learn, lead, and make a difference. We offer values-driven, academically rigorous education that prioritizes character and leadership, equipping students not just for the academic success, but for meaningful lives beyond the classroom. And by supporting this expansion, you're not just approving a building, you're supporting a vision for more options, more choices for our kids. And I understand the issues that are, that have been presented here. I mean, traffic's bad all over Duncanville. I mean, if you drive anywhere in Duncanville, traffic's bad, and that's something that the city council needs to work on. So I completely understand that, but for Life School, the benefits far outweigh any negative. And as an educator and as somebody who's lived in Duncanville, wish Life School would have been here when my kids were being raised. So thank you very much.
Shendalyn Anderson.
Shendalyn Anderson, 1526 MacArthur Drive. I respectfully ask the commission and the city council to choose option 3, which is to deny the application of planned development from single-family homes. My husband and I have been living in Duncanville since 2013. We chose Duncanville and Daniel Dale's at MacArthur Farms to build on our land, to build from the ground up with our children. When we sought out Daniel Dale Farms, the community let us know before we even put our money down that there was a HOA. And with that HOA, you know that you have to follow the rules. So I ask that this commission don't bail out Life because they chose not to understand the land that they purchased, the reason why the land has still been sitting all these years and have not been able to change from single family to planned development. In the last 2 weeks, I could not have gotten out of my neighborhood. It's out of my subdivision. It's taken me at least 30 minutes to just get out of the gate because of the major wreck that was on the freeway at night. And then there wasn't clearance until about 2 o'clock that next day. All of the traffic will divert back down Daniel because everybody is trying to use alternate routes and just trying to get out of our gate. It's not until someone just asks us or someone politely finally lets us out of our neighborhood. With this Life Charter School.
Thank you. Michael Loftus.
Hello, my name is Michael Loftus. I'm not a resident of Duncanville, but I'm at 358 Warrenblum Lane, Waxahachie. I'm a teacher at Life High School, Waxahachie, finishing my first year teaching there, or my 5th year teaching there, rather. And I've had the privilege of teaching both English and world history to students grade 9 through 12. I currently teach world history to freshmen at Life High School, Waxahachie. While there is much I could say about the benefits of Life School to its students and its parents and the community, I'd like to take some time to share some excerpts from students who have shared their own experiences with me. The students in my class have benefited from Life School. There's plenty of students in Duncanville that'll do the same. The students in my class, they did not receive any incentive to share the things that I'm about to read. It was completely voluntary. I've only altered the statements whenever the students decided to name specific schools. It's not on our heart to criticize other people with our words. Here's one student. I used to attend another school, and I just recently switched to Life School. So far, it's been absolutely amazing. My classes are much smaller. My teachers really care that I learn the content that they're trying to teach. The school focuses on academics, attendance, and skills that'll prepare us for life. He goes on to talk about specific teachers who helped him develop skills that he's able to use to make income after high school. Life High School, another quote, Life High School has given me the best education I could ask for. My last school was overcrowded. There were fights every week and threats every month and regular lockdowns. At Life School, I feel safe and the staff is prepared for emergencies. Here's another note. I'm not going to read it in its entirety, but she shares a story about how she's had experiences being bullied and how different administrations handle that differently. But at Life School, she's had an exceptional experience being free from bullying. I know that there are concerns that are not related exactly to the student experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Brian Dahlberg.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dahlberg. My address is 845 Proton. I'm here in support of Life School's PD application. In that staff report that pretty much everybody in this room has a copy of, one of the things that it notes about the PD application process is how important it is for nights like tonight and other nights that we've had throughout over a year of this being pending with the city. The community collaboration is very important. It's a very important process. Two of the things that I've heard the most about. One is that several of the residents who are opposed to this didn't expect there to be a school built on this property. But in that staff report, you'll see that in the single-family 13 district, a public school is a permitted use. It's something that everyone should expect when they live next to undeveloped area that is zoned currently that permits public school use. Additionally, this property has been owned by a charter school for over a decade. It was previously owned by the A.W. Brown Charter School. They didn't develop into a charter school, but it's been owned by a charter school and been on the public rolls as such for a while. The other thing I've heard a lot about is existing traffic. That is existing traffic. There are already significant existing traffic issues according to several of the residents. Life School's proposed development would actually be a net positive for the traffic on a whole. They are committing significant public resources to increase the traffic through addition of signalization that is going to be a positive for everyone that travels through these thoroughfares. The gentleman that pointed over here and said that the question wasn't answered, no question was posed to Life School's representative, Mr. Nelson. The questions were posed to WPM.
Dr. Brent Wilson.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Brent Wilson, Life School Superintendent. The address is 132 East Ovilla Road, Red Oak, Texas, 75154. And just wanted to say thank you to the Planning and Zoning Commission for hearing us tonight. Thank you as well for taking the time for those of you that were able to visit and ask questions, walk the property with us, and really just try to dig into what this project could look like. I just wanted to thank you for your time. And then I just wanted to end by saying our intent is to be a good partner with the city of Duncanville and with its community. We are engaged. We've been in existence since 1998, and we've served in the best Southwest area for that entire time. So just wanted to let you know that we are committed to serving in the city of Duncanville. Thank you very much.
Alicia Brown Young.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Brown Young, and I live at 1503 Halsey Drive in Duncanville, and I've been there for 19 years. I strongly oppose to the rezoning of SF13. While I fully support education and I understand the importance of schools placing one in the middle of an established residential area raises very serious concerns. First and foremost is traffic and safety and the disruption. Schools bring hundreds of cars, buses, and pedestrians into a small area multiple times a day. Our streets are not designed to handle that kind of congestion, and it poses a very inconvenience to our families. Secondly, the noise, light pollution, and increased activity, not just during school hours, but evenings and weekends due to events and sports. This will dramatically change our very quiet neighborhood, residential character of our community. This isn't just inconvenience, it is fundamentally changes the environment that we all invested in when we moved here. And third, I just want to say the lack of transparency with Life School that has disturbed me from the very beginning. I think when we first heard of what was happening, we were almost too late. And I think that when we see some of the inconsistencies have been consistent over this process, we have been very disturbed by that. I think there was a lot of things that we were not made aware of, and we are very disturbed by that. But I think the community has spoken so far, because we said 504 ballots have been submitted, and 104 of those are opposed, and only 14 are in agreement. So where we are now, it appears that the neighborhood and the community and surrounding communities have spoken. I'm very, very disheartened by this process. I do think that we have not done a good job, not we, Life School has not done a good job in actually being very transparent at the very beginning, and I think that's one of my biggest concerns. And most of the community says we do not want Life School. It is a good school, but we do not want it in our community. Thank you.
Brandy Morris. Brandy Morris.
Good evening. I'm Brandy Morris, and I'm at 323 Covington Lane in Ovilla, Texas. I am blessed that my roots in Duncanville are very deep and very wide. My family has been here since the 1950s. I'm a proud Panther, class of 97. Began my teaching career here and brought both of my babies home to this city. My family has owned many businesses in this town, and both of my in-laws are retired Duncanville educators. Legends, really. So many family members and friends still live in Duncanville, and I miss it. And my mother-in-law lives right around the corner from where this campus will be built. Duncanville will always be my hometown and a huge part of my heart. So when the place where I love to work was able to purchase this land, I was ecstatic. It was an answered prayer for our district and an opportunity to breathe life into this city. I knew that there would be no better partner for my hometown than Life School. At Life School, we pride ourselves on serving others. We are not perfect, but we do things right, and we do things well. A corporate entity who doesn't care about its neighbors could have purchased this land, but I'm certain that God had a hand in this partnership, and I assure you that you will not find a better partner than Life School. We are a great member of the communities we serve, and we want to be great neighbors here in Duncanville. Fears and what-ifs are real, but the heart of the issue is, what is community? I loved the community presence that I had growing up here. People with grown kids who lived in nearby neighborhoods would come cheer us on. And while I'm holding on to nostalgia, I also know that change moves us forward. So I hope you will heed community, opportunities to support, connect with, and pour into these additional great students who will be part of our collective community. Focus on these families and students who will soon be blessed, like me, with deep roots in Duncanville. Duncanville's legacy is the city of champions. Ours is too.
Lanita Sherpale. Lanita Sherpale.
Good evening. My name is Lanita Sherpale. My address is 1141 Richard Pittman, DeSoto, Texas. And so I just want to come on behalf to advocate for students in the community that do need a different option. I have 3 daughters, and they all attended or attend Life School. My oldest daughter graduated in 2024. She went on to get her master's, and she has returned to work for Life School. But when we started, the bigger districts just socially did not work for her. So she did need a different option. And then also for my girls, it just works really well. They are athletes, and they cheer, play basketball, run track. But if we went to a bigger district, they wouldn't have the same opportunities that they've had at Life School. And so even living in DeSoto, our daughters give back to the local community, and they are productive citizens of DeSoto. So I do want to let you know that Life School produces excellent students and excellent citizens, and it's just important for all students to have a different option, because the big districts might not work for all students.
Mark Cooks. Mark Cooks.
Good evening, Mark Cooks, 1106 Bradley Drive, Duncanville, Texas, a resident for a little less than 20 years. I stand before you this evening asking you to deny the request to change the single family 13 to planned development. For the record, I'm a former city council member of Duncanville, Mayor Pro Tem. I also sat on economic development as president. The reason I bring this up because of some of the information I want to share with you. For your record, my request is based upon several reasons in which I would like to share. As you know, most of the city's revenue is based upon sales tax and property tax, which comes from homes and local businesses, owners, in other words, rooftops. I realize the school taxes are a separate line item, which is well deserved for education. The state fund education outside of local ISD receives a higher rate, decreasing the amount of revenue that our local community and schools receive. We currently have 2 other ISD educational system charter schools and our small 11.7 miles square in Duncanville. When developers come looking for places to open their business, they don't ask how many people drive by. That's why when you look at the comprehensive plan, it was established and approved by city council and council members that the purpose of the plan is to direct the city and what the city needs. New homes and rooftops. May I give you an example? 69 homes in the Meadows of Daniels Farms. If you take that number and the property tax, that's $200,000 that this one resident pays in property tax. If you take that 106 acres that Life School is preparing that if you change that money to Life School, then it's single family, and you just estimate 106 acres, think about 150 homes in that neighborhood. That will bring the city of Duncanville $420,000 in sales tax. How much more could we use those funds for our amenities? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nessa Sasser.
Greetings, Planning and Zoning Committee or Commissioners. My name is Dr. Nisa Sasser, and I reside at 1531 MacArthur in Duncanville. And a lot of the residents here have said some of the things I had written down. So in the interest of time, I'm asking that you do not rezone SF13 to a planned development for several reasons. One reason is why are we doing all of this to rezone? We're doing too much. It's too much. Extended lanes, traffic lights, added traffic lights, right turn only, left turn, possibly a school zone. I mean, some of the information wasn't even presented, and it was esoteric in nature to me. So we want to compare, or Life School wants to compare the Waxahachie campus and has no issues there. But if you look, you can even Google it. You can Google, it's no homes in that area. It's no homes. And if you look at our area, someone mentioned that a tour, some of you participated in a tour. So I invite you to come to the neighborhood and see what else is there, not just the proposed site for Life School or the land that they own, but look at the neighborhood, the surroundings. So again, say no to rezoning SF13 to a planned development. And just a comment real quick about SF13 and having some innuendo about educational facility. No mention that doesn't include a stadium that they can extend later on once they're approved. It's a lot of extensions that can be done after said approval. So please keep that in mind. Thank you. Please do not rezone SF13 to a planned development. Thank you.
E. Lawrence Smith.
E. Lawrence Smith, 1507 Halsey Drive. I'm glad I brought my kids over here. So I wanted them to see how important it is that when you have a community, you stand up for that community. And we talked about a treasure that's coming to Duncanville. I just want to remind you, we moved in 2020 to a treasure. You don't destroy a treasure with the hope of having a treasure. That is not the way that this works. This neighborhood, and I thank the gentleman for actually saying Best Southwest this time, because the last time that we first had this conversation, I guess they did not realize that this was a neighborhood of CFPs, lawyers, doctors, physicians, educators, and instead They came to us and talked to us about us being South Dallas and putting a stadium right up against the neighborhood. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit. No one would ever go for that. We already have a treasure. That's your neighborhoods. I think the number, if you round it up, it's 90% of us are here saying no. You do not ignore the voice of the people in that neighborhood for somebody else coming in here. Because we're not here talking about education and what's a good school. This is about rezoning. That's what this conversation is. And I urge you to not, in any shape, form, or fashion, choose to ignore your constituents. Thank you.
Jason Barton. Jason Barton.
I can't follow that. Jason Barton, I live at 1114 Bradley Drive, Duncanville, and Daniel Dale Farms. I'm here to oppose the rezoning. I don't feel that it fits with our community. I did receive the letter that went out to the 500 or so people that were within the boundaries. The dates on it were incorrect. I did not submit my letter stating that I was opposed to it. I'm sure there might be other people that probably were in that same boat, but on the second page where it does have the items that you can cross on and put your reasoning for not wanting the rezoning or whatever it would be, it did have wrong dates on it. So, but I would go ahead and guess that 100 plus people that responded out of 500 homes opposing it is a good indication that your constituents, community members, and neighbors are opposed to this project, and that the majority of the people that are speaking in favor of it are all Life School employees and mostly aren't even in our neighborhood or our neighbors. They are not part of our community, and they do not speak for us. So, thank you.
Shirley Lacey. Shirley Lacey. Yolanda Gills.
Good evening. My name is Yolanda Gills. My address is 951 Fairway Circle, Duncanville. I am opposed to or not in favor of granting the zoning request. For the reasons stated, the proposed zoning is too close to my property line. I've lived at 951 Fairway Circle for over 34 years. The 1,000-foot barrier that was enforced is only 333 yards. That's only 3 football fields and a quarter. It's too close to our property. In addition, there are increased threats to my family's personal safety if the natural barriers are removed. Thirdly, the increased traffic that we've heard about, the congestion due to the lineup and drop-off and pickup of the students on Daniel Dale could possibly curve around to Cockrell Hill Road as well. Members of this committee, please do not vote in favor of this zoning change. Thank you.
Derwin Lewis. Derwin Lewis.
My wife, as usual. Good evening. My name is Derwin Lewis. I live at 1502 MacArthur Drive, Duncanville, Texas. We've been there for now 11 years. First of all, I want to say good evening. And before I begin, and I only have 2 minutes, I want to ask the committee that if you haven't, to please come out and see the location that they're proposing to build this school. I think they've made some misleading comments today, respectfully. One example is the current configuration of the comparison of the campus at Waxahachie to the new current location where they're proposing to build a school. It's not a fair comparison. As Nessa stated earlier, Ms. Nessa, there are no residential areas in where Waxahachie currently exists, none. And you ask how I know? Because I have 2 children that graduated from Life Waxahachie. I know, I'm familiar with the car queuing. It's significant. I've been on Highway 77. I know how the traffic is. And that particular highway is wider than Danieldale is. So you can imagine the queuing that's going to be on Danieldale when the queuing at Life Waxahachie is already significant. I've seen the configuration of the high school, the junior high. It's wonderful. I loved it. My kids loved it. But I just don't like it in my backyard. And I want to address something else that one gentleman stated about we should expect a school to be built in our neighborhoods. Who does that? Does anybody in this room expect a school to be built in your backyard? No, nobody does that. So I want to say, for the record, I oppose. Please don't rezone this from a, what is it, baby, SF? Whatever the numbers are, I'm opposing it. Again, we're not against education. I love Life School. Dr. Miller, I love Dr. Miller. I love him.
Thank you.
But I don't want the school in my backyard. Thank you.
Sharon Gray. Sharon Gray.
Hi, I'm Sharon Gray, and I'm from 503 Town Place, Duncanville. And I moved to Duncanville when I was pregnant with my oldest, who's now 26. My kids' first jobs were here. Sam worked in a warehouse off Main. Isaac worked at Chubby's, and my daughter serves you coffee most mornings. I did start at Life School when my youngest was 3, but I didn't move my kids over until I was sure it was a good place. Well, that was 18 years ago. And here's what I can tell you. It's pretty clear that Life School does take good care of their kids, and that is very true. But Life also takes good care of their property. As a teacher, I can tell you this. They are fussy. We clean, we paint, and we prepare. When we talk about getting ready for the dismissal, the teachers meet. There are spreadsheets, there are plans. They really are trying to do their very best to prepare for the community. And we do love our community. These are good people. I know this is not what everyone wants, but I can tell you this, you couldn't do better as far as an addition to our community, because we do really care.
LaTanya Jackson.
Good evening. LaTanya Jackson, 1516 Dutchman Creek Drive, DeSoto, Texas. My name is LaTanya. My son, Benjamin, is a 5th grader at Life School, Cedar Hill. Prior to finding Life School, my son attended Windsor Park Elementary. It's a small, intimate private school. He stayed there for 2 years. But when it was time for him to transition, after an exhaustive search, we found a family atmosphere at Life School, Cedar Hill. As a shy 1st grader, Life School gained our trust as we navigated a new environment and COVID. Now as Benjamin prepares to enter 6th grade, he continues to be nurtured and equipped for the future. Training up a child in the way that he should go requires partnership, and we have found that at Life School. I can appreciate the concerns of every homeowner here, and never would I minimize their issues that they've raised. I also cherish the privacy and sanctuary away from the world that my home provides, but there are lines when I must temporarily alter my comfort and think macro and not merely micro. The hard truth means supporting a path where educational opportunities and economic growth align to benefit others. But that does not make the choice any easier. As a DeSoto resident since 2010, life requires me to spend extensive time in Duncanville as well as other surrounding cities. This area has seen tremendous growth. We are no longer a quaint and quiet suburb. This could make people have an adverse reaction to growth and change. However, each project should be considered individually, solely on its own merit. I can say with confidence that Life School is more than brick and mortar. It is a community where like-minded families are welcome to partner to cultivate productive young people so they are positioned and purposed to partner to Are you finished? I'm done. Okay.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
That was the last name that I have that wanted to speak. I'm going to repeat 3 names that I repeated earlier just in case they had stepped out and they came back. One was Shirley Lacey. Another one was George Christie. The last one was Amy Adams.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hi, my name is Amy Adams, and I'm the proud mother of one amazing child who's currently in the 6th grade. My address is 821 South Polk, DeSoto, Arkansas. My child has been attending Life School for 2 years, and I honestly can't imagine a better fit for our family. When I chose Life School, I was looking for more than just academics. I wanted a school that would nurture my child's growth spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. From the very beginning, we felt welcomed and supported, and I could see that the teachers genuinely care about each student's success. Life School has given us what I believe we wouldn't find anywhere else, a sense of community, strong communication. My child has grown in confidence and is excited about learning and looks forward to school every day. And that's why I'm excited about the new high school coming to Duncanville, and I do understand the community's concerns, absolutely do. Every student is different, and I came from Plano ISD. So I came from a really great school, just my teachers were leaving. So after COVID, basically, they were leaving, and so, but as a community, I do support you all's concerns. I do. I never overlook that, because when you purchase homes for $500,000 and things like that, you do want your piece, and I understand that. So please take into consideration everything that everyone has said on today. So that's my words, and thank you so much. Y'all have a great night.
Before you leave the podium, could you repeat your name and your address for me?
Amy Adams, 821 South Polk Street, DeSoto, Texas, 75115.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Hoff. My apologies.
I turned it in earlier, must have gotten lost. I'm Joe Hoffer. I'm at 66 Champion Cliff in San Antonio, which is a horrible suburb south of here. I am an attorney for Life School and also a litigator, so welcome, colleague. But a couple of corrections. The gentlemen here are not from Life School. They represent the city of Duncanville. They were hired by the city to be independent. They weren't hired to be on behalf of Life School. So these are your independent reviewers that were disparaged earlier, and their presentation was on behalf of the city of Duncanville. The Life School has met all of the city standards. It has exceeded the city standards. Life School is also not an entity that can be sold. It is a governmental unit. It is a sister governmental unit akin to a city or a school district. The Texas Supreme Court has said that it is a governmental unit, an arm of the state. It can't be sold. You're not going to have some other entity coming in here and taking it away or being sold. It's a nonprofit corporation that has governmental entity status. Its board is a public school board, just like your ISD Board of Trustees. They're just not elected. They're volunteers. This would be a treasure to your community. Good education, more good education options lifts your community up, provides opportunities for your students that will bless your community for decades to come. I've known them for almost 20 years now, and I'm also going to speak out on behalf of What I'm told is over 120 students who are not here who have addresses in Duncanville, Texas. Over 120 students, I believe, or more have addresses in Duncanville. They're not here. You're hearing from the parents, other community members, neighbors, and they do have an entitlement to be heard, but there's 120 Duncanville students who have not been heard who will benefit from this school. Thank you very much.
Marsha Potts. Marsha Potts.
Good evening. My name is Marsha Potts. My address is 947 Fairway, and that's in Duncanville, 75137. As the gentleman just said, there may be 120 students from Duncanville that are attending Waxahachie, but they applied to go there. So that should not even be a consideration of a constraint, because it shouldn't have been promised to them that they were going to have one in Duncanville to be closer to their homes. I hope you all are speaking on behalf and thinking on behalf of those of us who vote for you. Because at the end of the day, I think your responsibility is to stand for us, the citizens of Duncanville, the community members of Duncanville. Another thing I want to say, just like we said, I believe about 90% of us who live in this area do not and have already responded that we do not want Life School in our neighborhood. Out of all the Life School people that spoke, about 95% of them live in Duncanville. I'm so sorry y'all have to get up and drive to Waxahachie every morning, but you too chose that life. I had to get up and drive to my job every day too, because my job is not gonna just come into someone's community like that. So we're not here to open our community for personal or individual conveniences or decisions that parents have made to take their students there. Yes, we know Life School is a good school, but why should our community, that's a great community, be compromised because of their desires?
Seeing no more comment cards, would the applicant like to respond to any comments?
Yes, I would like to respond to a couple comments and not about very specific things, but I did want to let everyone know and the community know that there has been a demo permit issued for the property, and demo should start, was bid out and should has a contract now and should be starting this week on the house and the pool that was owned by Larry Johnson, and then a lot of the tractors and some other outbuildings that are all there should be cleaned up within the next 2 weeks, and all of those items were there before Life School purchased the property. The other thing is one about small thing about the bike lane on Daniel Dale. We are because of request from the city putting a 10-foot sidewalk there that was told to us by the city previously that could become part of the bike lane. So that is a concession that we're doing that's not required by the code. So that's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Could staff, being that we are at about 9:20 and there are some additional tabulations that can be done by staff because things came in at 4 o'clock. And the gentleman who mentioned the clerical error with the dates, I am, as chair, I'm considering issuing a continuance to the next meeting to make sure the clerical error wasn't a concern for any of the other residents, as well as so we can get the calculations from the staff on the things that came in at 4 o'clock, and even those things that you mentioned that came in afterwards. With that being the case, before we entertain a motion, commissioners, do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
I did have a couple of questions that came up. At some point, I believe it was maybe one of the residents suggested that more property tax could be gained by going ahead and developing it as single family. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I know that's not who owns it right now, but I'm just wondering how much of that land is actually buildable. I know that the Life School is choosing to locate in one corner of the property because of the terrain, and so I'm just curious.
Staff has not conducted that type of analysis yet to make that determination of what is actually buildable or not buildable out there at this time. There's something that can certainly be considered, or at least take a look at, but there's a lot of other factors that go into, just the topography and the canopy and everything else, if it would be, whether it is a school or an alternative use like residential development. So that would take some additional time to make that evaluation.
Another question I had is there was some concern about changes maybe being made later down the road. And so my question is, how much can the plan development be restricted against future changes?
What you have in front of you is a PD application that lays out, a proposed project that includes a high school and a middle school and the dimensions and everything else that is being presented to you today. And that would be, if dependent on the direction of the Plan Commission and ultimately the city council decision at the end of the day, that would be part of the ordinance that gets recorded against the city, and those requirements would be basically incorporated into that PD ordinance along with the city ordinance that the city commission could consider adopting if that's the direction they go. Any future PD amendment would need to come back forward. Any major PD amendment would need to come back forward to the Plan Commission along with the city council as well for consideration. So if down the road, hypothetically, Life School wants to make an addition or they want to expand their facilities of any nature, that would have to come back forward to the Plan Commission to amend their PD and for those additional requirements outside of what's being proposed as part of the PD that is in front of you this evening for consideration. So if they're, again, you're looking at an application right now that is 355,000 square feet, which includes the high school and the middle school, the parking facilities, athletic facilities, and everything else. Anything outside of those parameters that were identified and proposed by the applicant would need to come back in front of the Plan Commission for consideration to the City Council for ultimate decision.
And I guess one final question that I had wanted to ask is, so with, trying to figure out how to ask it, with state laws the way they are, sort of giving schools, ISDs, and apparently charter schools the right to build, what are the constraints on a city? Like, how much, do you understand what I'm getting at?
I'll defer that into two different questions here. One, there are some things that from our city attorney that can be provided for additional information, but municipalities, again, schools are, as of right, permitted in many different districts within communities. And there are statutory requirements that cities need to follow or approve. Cities do have the opportunity to regulate the bulk and form of the buildings, but there's very limitations on what cities can actually control. We can provide a legal opinion that provides guidance to the Plan Commission on what the state statutes do permit and allow, and what cities have the opportunity to regulate. That is one of the reasons why the PD is in front of you, because there are, again, elements when it comes to the landscape and the setbacks, the building articulation that are in the city's control But again, the location side of things and everything else, there are statutory requirements. But again, I would defer to our city attorney and legal counsel to provide that legal opinion to the Plan Commission for confirmation.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff or applicants at the moment?
I have a question. Someone mentioned the fact that the property taxes that provide funds into the coffers for Duncanville, has there been any type of estimation or review as to whether or not salaries or things that are paid to people there at the school or anything like that, as far as how that goes into the coffers, what does it benefit Duncanville?
I would like to answer that. Life School did commission a economic study that was given to Victor and those. I'm not sure that made it into your packets or anything, but there is an economic study that talks about the salaries, the construction, the sales tax from people shopping and going there and stopping for coffee and whatever after and before that. So that is, we do have that done by a group that does those economic studies for schools. And I would also, just a minor thing is that the property has been off the tax roll since 2010, being owned by A.W. Brown Charter School for that. So, but that economic study is there, and we're happy to provide that to you, or maybe Victor can get that to you.
I have a question. One of the speakers mentioned that the traffic at another school, I do believe it's Waxahachie, was monitored by security, and the security was able to make sure that the traffic flowed correctly. As far as security in this day and age in high schools, that kind of brought up the question that what does the security look like with this particular school?
So I would have to defer to the school, but there are requirements by the state to have I believe a licensed officer for sure at each campus. Life School does provide that, Waxahachie. I don't know the other security. Obviously, one of the security things we are doing is a fence around the property that meets TEA and then locked at the gate. So to get inside the building, you have to be let in the gate if it's not queue time. Then you have to be let into the front door, and then past reception, you have to be let in again for anyone to get into the school. And I do want to clarify one thing. I wasn't meaning to say that Waxahachie and Life here are the exact same. What I meant previously to just clarify was that the car queuing was measured at Waxahachie, and that's what drove this, not that they are the same kind of site.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, for the guidance of the Plan Commission this evening, again, just a reminder, you have multiple options for consideration for you. Again, you can close, the public hearing is still open, you can close the public hearing this evening and render a decision to approve or make a recommendation to the City Council. You can also recommend with conditions to the City Council this evening. You can also deny it, or another option is to table it this evening and keep the public hearing open and move it to a future Plan Commission date in the future. The next possible meeting is June 9th, which would allow staff the additional time to answer any questions that have come in from the Plan Commission this evening, and also tabulate the additional information that was received after 4 o'clock this afternoon. So those are the options, just again, as a guidance and reminder to the Plan Commission this evening.
Thank you for the reminder. Commissioners, is there a motion that we're ready to entertain?
I move that we table this issue for today and keep the public session open until such time as we meet again on June the 9th, 7 p.m.
I would second that because it does sound like we have some other information that we could be privy to as far as an economic study and possibly a traffic study.
Roll call, please.
Motion made by Commissioner Wine to table for right now. Second by Commissioner Browning. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? It will carry 5-0.
Motion passes. Thank you. So, moving on to item number agenda 4.
Find it here, hold on. We'll give the public a minute to exit the building before we get into this next item.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a request for discussion. At this moment, if you, we have two more items on the agenda that we need to get into. Thank you. So, my understanding at the moment is you would like to ask the question, to put the question on the record. Is that what we're doing? Yes. Being that we've already entertained the motion to continue the public hearing to next week, and we're moving on to item number, or not next week, next meeting, to item number 4. We're going to proceed with item number 4.
All right, Madam Chairman, members of the commission, in your packet, we did provide a staff memo for consideration. We understand that this topic has been brought up to the Plan Commission previously in regards to moving from 1 meeting to 2 meetings a month. Internally, over the last month and a half, staff has evaluated other communities outside of the city of Duncanville, understanding what the frequency of meetings are, and a lot of your counterparts in and around adjacent to you and within the Metroplex do have 2 meetings a month on the Plan Commission calendar. Again, from the standpoint of just efficiency, from the standpoint of moving applications through, there are times that do come up that things do get tabled, or we do have, a potential cancellation of a meeting. We are recommending for the consideration to go to a 2-month schedule moving forward here. Again, not in the immediate future, but within probably the next couple months. Again, based on what we've evaluated, what staff has evaluated over time, the frequency, yes, there have been meetings that have been canceled in the past, but just understanding where we are today with the community moving forward, other topics on the agenda, would recommend that we reestablish going to 2 meetings a month and looking at a potential date of, I believe I put it in here, going to the second and fourth Tuesday or Thursdays of the month as consideration.
So the second Tuesday and the fourth Thursday?
We can go either one of those dates. We've looked at the city calendar and the options that we could consider for moving the plan commission. Currently, you meet on the second Monday of each month. So looking at the community calendars, and if the plan commission would entertain going to 2 meetings a month, we would most likely need to look at going to the second and fourth Tuesdays or the second and fourth Thursdays of the month to accommodate that schedule. That also helps us with so what I'm looking for here. It also helps us with publication process and getting into the newspaper, and also again assisting developments getting through on a more expedited process when there are those opportunities.
Go ahead.
I would like to comment on that. Notice that on the list that was presented, there were also the flexible schedule, because what I have seen have sometimes have to, we would have maybe 3 on one, and the next time we might only have 1. And so for me, I'm wanting to understand how flexible does not work. To actually say 2 full, to actually put it down as like every second Thursday and every fourth Thursday, just because of the fact that we rarely ever had enough for this, that 5 or 6 events. So I'm wondering whether or not it would actually work. Scheduling that, is there a better,
Yeah, I mean, we would want to have a primary date, which would be, the second or fourth Thursday potentially. Again, if we were to go to.
Excuse me, can I jump in 1 second? After further research, we were looking at the second or fourth Tuesday because Thursdays are ZBAs, and so for certain it will be the second or fourth Tuesday if it's agreed upon.
We're only looking at, as we look at the calendars further, if we are to go to, thank you for that additional information. Your primary meeting would be the first, I'm going to say the second Tuesday of the month, with the option for that. From a frequency standpoint, it's just, to have it on the commission on on the calendar, whether or not it gets canceled or not, depending on the amount of work that's in there right now. We can cancel it. Other communities go through that process, but we have found, on occasion, trying to call special plan commission meetings that may fall on an opposite day or a weird day or anything else has been a challenge to get a quorum. So we're just trying to get an alignment in place, hopefully, that at least there's an established schedule of plan commission meetings. Again, your primary plan commission meeting would most likely, if we were to go to the 2 meeting in a month schedule, would be the second Tuesday of the month would be your primary meeting. Now, again, if there was, because of a scheduling conflict or again a very large project where we would want to move additional items to a follow-up meeting, instead of making applicants wait like they are right now to go to the next scheduled second Monday of the month, we would have that alternative date in place. Again, what we want to do is be able to have that flexibility in there. If in the event that a meeting is needed, it's at least identified on your calendar of having that night available for you. Does not mean that we're going to be scheduling meetings every 2 weeks. It is really there as a I'm going to say a courtesy to know that if we have an application come up or something because of a publishing error or late submittal or anything along those lines, but we're trying to get through the process, we know that there's at least a defined meeting on that, which would be the fourth Tuesday of the month, that we could call a meeting and there would hopefully be a quorum because it's on the calendar, it's in the regular schedule of Plan Commission meetings. So that is really the request, is to go through that. Again, we are not here to say we want to do 2 meetings a month. That is an as-needed basis. We would still maintain the primary second Tuesday of the month as your first meeting, where we would move most of the agenda items. But again, there are items that are going to be coming up, which is going to be your comprehensive plan that, this evening it's 9:41. Do we really want to get into a potential work session on a comprehensive plan? You're going to have other things coming up in the future with the zoning code rewrite and everything else. So I think providing that flexibility, but knowing that it's on your calendar, would be in the best interest of the Plan Commission to at least evaluate this opportunity.
So the plan would be second Tuesday of the month and fourth Tuesday if necessary.
Correct.
Well, before we get too excited about the Tuesdays, my Tuesdays are completely booked. I mean, that's why Mondays worked for me. So, I mean, would I just leave the commission?
No, that's not what we're doing. Again, this is the feedback that we need to hear from the commission on that part, on that side of it. Are all let me ask the question: are all Mondays? Because I would have to look to see whether or not, did we look at the fourth Monday or the? I mean, would
Mondays are fine. Mondays are fine for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, are Mondays more suitable for the Plan Commission as it is today?
Mondays work for me.
Wednesdays is the only day that does not.
Yeah, Wednesdays wouldn't work for me.
So Mondays work for everybody?
So let us do this. Let us come back to you at the next meeting. Let us evaluate the fourth Monday, and see whether or not that would be an option from the city calendar perspective, and come back to you with that option. But it sounds like there's at least the entertainment to go, at least to look at the schedule and look at a 2-month schedule, and we can look at the Mondays. So.
Can I make one comment? And this is going to sound negative, but I've said it before and it's not been addressed, and so I'm going to say it again. Part of the reason that we're having to delay meetings and double up on things and have special meetings appointed is because of errors, such as the dates that were on the mailings and the fact that we didn't have an economic survey and a traffic study in our, I mean, those are important things and they were not in our packet. So I have a problem with having extra meetings because of errors, and I think I would appreciate a little more care being taken, perhaps. And if we're having meetings because we have more cases, that's one thing.
And
I appreciate the comments. I'm gonna partially turn it over because I would like to introduce you to your new assistant planning and development director. That
I'd like to make a comment as well, because one of the things that's happening is we have a lot of turnover. We have a lot of changes. We have a lot of people changing. And so part of what's happening is new people getting used to their roles. So if we have an if needed meeting while we're in this transition period, I understand. And I'm complete. Yes.
Thank you so much. Also, I just want to side note is we're trying to be more efficient. And so I do understand an extra meeting can cause some issues, but with that, we want to make sure that if nothing else, we're able to be good with our time. We want to definitely limit the errors and things of that nature. And so we're just trying to figure out that sweet spot so that way we can be more efficient and making sure that all parties are able to balance the time and everything. And so we will definitely look at Mondays. And so we will probably, instead of being the second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday, we'll look at the second and fourth Monday. So, thank you.
There was a time when the packets were ready and they were dropped off at our resident. And this particular packet was incomplete and it was ready on Friday. And I was out of town getting ready for graduations. and I didn't really, wasn't able to pick this packet up until this morning. So a little bit more time, so especially when you have this much information to go over, I would like to be able to go over it thoroughly and make some good notes and highlights on what's going on.
We appreciate the feedback. I'm helping as we navigate through all this here, so we appreciate the feedback that we are receiving this evening and how we can improve the communication and coordination with the Plan Commission as well to make your jobs easy and help developers through the process. So we do appreciate this open and honest feedback.
Being that this is an action item, do we need a motion to table this?
I would look at just tabling it right now. We'll bring it back once we evaluate it from the alternative on Mondays.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, I would request, on behalf of my brain cells, that we update to the Duncanville Comprehensive Plan. Is this critical that we have this discussion tonight?
I believe it was just going to be an update. I don't have any specific updates to all. Is Victor here?
Yes.
There he is.
If it's critical, by all means, let's proceed. If not, and it's not critical, if we could move it to next.
The update is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If this is critical that we have this discussion tonight, let's proceed. If it's not critical, my request would be to move it to next month's next meeting.
It is not. It was just an opportunity to kind of let you know where we're at in the process and share additional information. But at this point, there is no action or anything needed from the Planning and Zoning Commission. There was more of a just kind of bring everyone up to speed. But I can also do that via email and then provide additional information at the next meeting about where we're at in the process. If that's okay
I appreciate
with everybody. Sure. You're very welcome.
Okay, moving on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is adjournment. So is there a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Motion was made to adjourn by Commissioner O'Brien. It was second by Commissioner Browning. No.
When?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you all for this evening.